So in the 2-3 working together and on your own, we're doing the same thing that we did in 2-2, where we're given a transaction and we prepare the two T accounts. Please, please, please remember that the debited T account is listed first or on top, and the credited T account should always be on the bottom. So here's our transaction. It says April 10th received cash from sales. So my first keyword here is cash. And my second keyword here is sales. I know that cash is an asset, and an asset increasing is a debit. So that can go on the top. So cash is a debit. So debits are on the left, and I will mark that as $600. Sales is my other keyword. That account title is sales. And sales is always, 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 always a credit. And the credit is on the right. Things I can double check for. This top box should always have my number on the left, and the bottom box should always have my number on the right, because the debit's on the top and the credit's on the bottom. And then make sure you have the correct account titles corresponding. On April 11th, we have sold services on account to Sam Erickson. So here's my first keyword, sold. And then my second keyword here is on account. So I know that sold matches the sales account, and I know that sales is always a credit. The credit goes on the bottom. So I'm going to put sales on the bottom and credit on the right for $850. Now I know that this has to be a debit on the left for $850, and I have to determine my account title. So it says on account. So I've either got accounts payable or accounts receivable. In this case, when I sell something, I should receive money for it. So it's accounts receivable. I've got a debit, I've got a credit, I'm set. For the April 14th transaction, we've got paid cash for rent. So here's my first keyword, it's cash. My second keyword here is rent. And now I'm determining what is the debit or the credit. So when I pay cash, cash is an asset and decreasing cash is a credit. So my credit always goes on the bottom. So I'm going to put cash on the bottom, and then the credit is on the right. So the credit is $250. The rent keyword is rent expense. So that's my account title. And that will be a debit because remember, rent expense is the T that falls within owner's equity, and a decreasing owner's equity is a debit. So debit's on the left. For April 18th, I've received cash. So here's my first keyword, cash, on account from Sam Erickson. So here's my second keyword is account, and its little buddy is received. So when I receive cash, cash increasing is a debit. So I'm going to put that on top. So cash, debit on the left. My next account is accounts receivable. And these are two accounts that are on the left side of the equation. So if I'm increasing cash, I need to be decreasing accounts receivable. They owe me less. So a decrease to accounts receivable is a credit, and that is on the right. I've got a debit, I've got a credit, I am good. In the April 20th transaction, it's paid cash to owner for personal use. So I've got cash as a keyword, and then personal use is my second keyword. When I pay cash, cash decreases, that's a credit. So cash on the bottom, credit on the right. Personal use, that is a withdrawal. So I'm going to use the drawing account, and that is a debit because the overall decrease to owner's equity in a drawing is a debit. Debits, credits, I'm good. Received cash from sales. So here's my keyword cash. Here's my keyword sales. And now I'm going to determine whether or not I'm debiting or crediting. When I receive cash, that's an increase. An increase is a debit for cash, so that'll go on top, debit on the left. Sales is my bottom account. It's always, always, always a credit. Sales credit on the right. And I've got a debit and I've got a credit. The next transaction says sold services on account to Sam Erickson. So here's my keyword sold. And here's my second keyword on account. So sold matches sales. Sales is always, always, always a credit. So I'm going to put it on the bottom. Credit's on the right. That means this top one has to be a debit on the left. And then I have the keyword of account. So I've either got accounts receivable or accounts payable. When I sell something, I should receive money for it. So it's accounts receivable. The September 16th transaction says paid cash is my first keyword. For rent is my second keyword. Paying cash is a decrease, and that is a credit. So cash goes on the bottom, credit goes on the right. That means my rent, which the account title is rent expense, is going to be a debit on the left. September 18th, received cash as my keyword, and then account is my second keyword, and its buddy here is received. So cash increasing for reception is a debit, so that'll go on top, debit's on the left. Accounts receivable is my second transaction title. And remember, this affects only one side of the accounting equation, so it's opposite symbols. So a decrease to accounts receivable is a credit. Credit's on the right. I have a debit, I have a credit, I'm good. My last transaction says paid cash, is my first keyword. To owner for personal use is my second keyword here. Paying cash is a decrease in cash is a credit on the right and on the bottom. Personal use, that is a drawing, a withdrawal account. So Kathy Burgum drawing is my title, and a decrease in owner's equity ends up being a debit, and debits are on the left.